The abandoned cub. The night was dark and cold on the battlefield. The stars above were silent witnesses, shining faintly over the ruins of war. On the ground, broken machines smoked, bodies of soldiers lay still, and the smell of fire mixed with blood. Among this silence, one sound broke through. A cry, small and weak, almost like a kitten's whimper. A human soldier named Aaron stopped in his tracks. His boots were heavy with dust, his rifle still in his hands. He thought at first it was only the wind, but then he heard it again, soft and desperate. Aaron moved slowly, step by step, searching among the rubble. His heart beat faster. The war had taught him to be careful. An enemy could be hiding, waiting to strike. But this sound was not the growl of a soldier. It was a cry of pain. He pushed aside a broken piece of metal and saw her, a small alien cub, no bigger than a human child. Her fur was matted with blood, her tiny hands trembling. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark, eyes filled with fear and hunger. She was alone, abandoned, left to die. Aaron froze. His orders were clear. Humans and this alien race were enemies. No mercy, no exceptions. Yet, as he looked down at the cub, something inside him stirred. She looked so helpless, so fragile. He remembered his own little sister back home on Earth, her smile, her laughter. The cub made another weak cry. Aaron's chest tightened. He knew what he should do. Walk away, leave her to her fate. That was the rule of war. But his hands refused. To let go, he knelt down, lifted her carefully, and felt her tiny body shaking in his arms. The cub looked at him with wide eyes. She did not understand what he was. She only knew warmth for the first time since her parents had fallen. Aaron whispered, softly, "Shh. It's okay, little one." From that moment, a dangerous secret began. Aaron hid the cub in an old supply crate near his bunker. Every night he brought her scraps of food, water, and blankets to keep her warm. He spoke to her in quiet words, though she could not understand. Still, she listened, her eyes never leaving him. At first he told himself it was only temporary, just until he found a safe place to leave her. But days turned into weeks. The cub grew stronger. She followed his voice, reached for his hand, and purred softly when he held her close. He began to call her Luma, because her eyes glowed like tiny lights in the dark, but danger was never far. Soldiers in the camp noticed Aaron sneaking away. They whispered. Some said he was hiding something. Others thought he had gone soft. In war, kindness was weakness, and weakness could mean death. One night, as Aaron fed Luma, he heard footsteps outside the bunker. His blood ran cold. Voices echoed. "Check inside, he's hiding something." Luma whimpered, pressing against his chest. Aaron whispered, "Quiet, little one, please." He hid her under the blankets, praying the soldiers would not hear. The door slammed open. 2 soldiers stepped, in flashlights sweeping across the room. "Aaron," one barked, "you've been acting strange. What are you hiding?" Aaron stood tall, his heart racing. "Nothing," he lied. "Just cleaning up. Can't sleep." The lights moved closer, almost reaching the crate. The cub's tiny paw shifted under the cloth. Aaron's hand tightened on his rifle. Sweat dripped down his face. If they discovered her, it would be the end, for both of them. Then from outside, a loud explosion shook the camp. Alarms blared. The soldiers cursed. "Enemy raid. Move." They rushed out, leaving Aaron alone. Aaron exhaled in relief. His knees trembled. He uncovered the crate, and there was Luma, eyes wide with fear. He pulled her into his arms, whispering, "I'll protect you no matter what, I promise." But deep inside he knew the truth. This secret could not last forever, and when it was discovered, the price would be high. A bond beyond species, the nights grew longer, and the war around the camp grew louder. Yet inside Aaron's hidden bunker, a secret world was alive. In that small space, the human soldier and the alien cub found something the galaxy had forgotten. Trust, every evening, after long patrols, and gunfire, Aaron would return to her. He carried food tucked away in his jacket, sometimes dried bread, sometimes pieces of meat. Luma, the cub, would jump excitedly when she smelled the food. Her glowing eyes sparkled like tiny stars. Aaron fed her carefully, breaking the bread into small pieces. "Slowly, little one," he whispered. "Don't choke." She purred softly, the sound calming his war-torn heart. For years he had seen only blood and anger, but in this cub he saw life. Luma grew quickly, her wounds healed, her fur became soft and shining. She began to follow him on shaky legs whenever he moved inside the bunker. Her small hands would tug at his uniform, her eyes full of trust. Aaron smiled more than he had in years, but the danger outside never disappeared. The soldiers grew suspicious. They had seen Aaron sneaking away at night. They whispered among themselves, "He's hiding something. Maybe he's meeting an alien spy." One evening, as Aaron returned to the bunker, he froze. A group of soldiers stood outside. One of them was Sergeant Kellen, a harsh man with sharp eyes. "Aaron," Kellen said, "you've been acting strange. We're here to see what you're hiding." Aaron's throat went dry. He forced a calm voice. "Hiding? I've got nothing, only sleep in there." But Kellen was not convinced. He motioned to his men. "Search the place." Panic rose inside Aaron. He thought fast. He had hidden Luma under an old blanket, praying she would stay silent, but cubs do not understand silence. Luma whimpered softly just once, but it was enough. Kellen's eyes narrowed. He stepped closer. What was that sound? His hand reached for the blanket. Aaron's heart pounded. He had to do something. "Wait," Aaron said sharply, his voice firm. "That's my ration bag. Don't touch it. It's private." He locked eyes with Kellen, daring him to push further. For a long moment the air was heavy. Then suddenly a siren wailed in the distance. Another enemy attack. The soldiers cursed. "We'll finish this later," Kellen growled. He turned and rushed out, leaving Aaron shaking with relief. Aaron uncovered Luma. She clung to his chest, trembling. "It's okay," he whispered. "They didn't find you." He stroked her fur gently, but deep inside he knew this would not last. Sooner or later they would return, and next time, luck might not save them. Days passed, and their bond grew stronger. Aaron taught her simple things. He drew shapes on the dirt floor and pointed circle, square, star. Luma repeated in her own broken sounds, copying him. Her laugh echoed softly in the bunker. It was the sound of hope. One night, Aaron gave her a small metal badge from his uniform. "This means courage," he said, placing it on her tiny chest. "As long as you have this, you're never alone." She touched it with wide eyes, then hugged him tightly. But outside, suspicion was growing. Sergeant Kellen had not forgotten. He watched Aaron closely, counting every step. "He's hiding something," Kellen told the commander. "I can feel it." Aaron sensed the walls closing in. He thought of sending Luma away, but where could she go? The galaxy hated her kind. Without him, she would not survive. He made a silent vow, no matter the risk, he would protect her. Then one night, disaster struck. Aaron returned to the bunker only to find the door broken open. His heart stopped. He rushed inside. The crate was empty, the blankets tossed aside. "Luma," he called in a whisper. Panic filled his chest. Had someone found her? Had Kellen taken her? He searched every corner, his breath shallow. Finally, from the shadows he heard a soft cry. Luma crawled out from under the bed, her eyes wide with fear. She ran to him, hugging his leg tightly. Aaron lifted her and held her close, his anger burned. Someone had tried to uncover his secret. He looked at her glowing eyes and whispered, "I won't let them take you. I'll fight anyone who tries." But outside the bunker, footsteps echoed, louder and closer. Kellen's voice rang out, "Aaron, open the door, now." Aaron's blood ran cold. He had no more time. The secret he had guarded with his life was about to be exposed, torn apart. The pounding on the door grew louder. Sergeant Kellen's voice cut through the night air. "Aaron, open up, now." Aaron's chest tightened. His secret was about to be destroyed. He looked down at Luma, the small cub pressed against. His chest, her glowing eyes were wide with fear. He whispered quickly, "Stay quiet no matter what happens, little one." He placed her inside the crate once more, covering her with old blankets. Her small paw clung to his sleeve, not wanting to let go. Aaron forced himself to pull away. His heart ached. The door burst open. Soldiers stormed inside with flashlights, Kellen at the front. His sharp eyes scanned the room. "You've been hiding something, Aaron," he said coldly. "Tonight we'll find out what." They searched every corner, pulling open boxes, turning over supplies. Aaron stood still, trying to stay calm. Sweat dripped from his brow. His hand shook slightly. Then one soldier froze. His light shined on the crate. "Sir, look," he said. Kellen walked over slowly. His hand reached for the blanket. Aaron's stomach dropped. He had only one choice. He stepped forward quickly, blocking the crate with his body. "It's just my rations," Aaron said firmly. "Nothing more." His voice was steady, but his heart was racing. Kellen smirked. "Move aside." His hand pushed against Aaron's shoulder, but Aaron refused to move. The room grew tense. Soldiers raised their rifles. Aaron knew he was outnumbered. He also knew if they pulled away the blanket, Luma would be exposed. Her life would end here. Then, before anyone could react, a cry escaped. From under the blanket, soft but clear, Luma whimpered. The sound pierced the silence. Kellen's face lit up with triumph. "There it is," he said. "You've been hiding an alien." He shoved Aaron aside, ripped away the blanket, and revealed her. The soldiers gasped. Some stepped back, others cursed. The glowing-eyed cub blinked up at them, trembling. Kellen raised his weapon. "Orders are clear, aliens die." He pulled the trigger halfway. The sound of the rifle charging echoed. "Stop!" Aaron roared. He shoved Kellen's gun aside. The shot blasted into the wall, sparks flying. In one swift motion, Aaron stood between the soldiers and the cub, his rifle aimed back at them. The room froze. A human soldier pointing his gun at his own men. "You'll have to go through me," Aaron growled. His voice shook with rage. "She's just a child." The soldiers stared, torn between fear and confusion. Kellen sneered. "You've betrayed your own people for a monster. She's—" "No monster!" Aaron shouted, his eyes burned. "She's innocent. She never asked for this war." The cub whimpered again, crawling forward and clutching Aaron's boot. The sight was too strange. An alien child clinging to a human soldier. Kellen snapped. His fingers. "Arrest him." Soldiers moved forward, rifles raised. Aaron fired a warning shot into the ceiling. Dust rained down. The soldiers stopped. "Don't make me do this," Aaron warned. His hands shook. His heart pounded so hard. It hurt. He could not kill his own brothers, but he would not let them harm her. In the chaos, Luma's wide eyes looked up at him, full of fear and trust. He knew then what he had to do. He could not keep her here any longer. He grabbed her quickly, ran to the back wall and pressed a hidden panel. Behind it was a small escape pod, a relic from older battles. He had repaired it secretly in case of emergencies. The soldiers shouted, "Stop him!" Gunfire erupted. Bullets hit the walls, sparks flying. Aaron shielded Luma with his body as he reached the pod. He placed her inside. Her little hands clawed at him, refusing to let go. "You must go," Aaron whispered urgently. His voice cracked. "They'll kill you if you stay. You must live. Do you understand? Live." Tears filled the cub's glowing eyes. She shook her head, making a soft, desperate sound. But Aaron forced a smile. "You're strong, Luma. Stronger than me one day." "One day you'll understand." The soldiers closed in. Kellen roared, "Take them both." Aaron slammed the pod door shut. His last image of her was her tiny face pressed against the glass, her paw reaching out. He hit the launch button. The pod roared to life, shooting out into the black sky. Soldiers fired at it, but it streaked. Away into the stars, Aaron turned back, rage and sorrow tearing through him. He dropped his rifle, knowing there was no escape. The soldiers swarmed him, beating him down. They bound his hands, blood running from his lip. Kellen leaned close, his eyes full of hate. "You're finished, Aaron. The alien will die out there alone, and you'll rot in a cell for the rest of your life." But Aaron, broken and on his knees, whispered through the pain, "No, she'll live. She'll rise. And when she does, you'll see." Far above, the pod drifted into the endless void. The cub pressed her tiny paw to the glass, staring back at the shrinking planet. her heart heavy with loss, her future unknown. For the first time she was truly alone. The rise of the cub. The escape pod drifted silently across the endless dark of space. Inside, the cub pressed her glowing eyes to the glass, watching the stars pass by like rivers of fire. She hugged Aaron's badge tight against her chest, the last gift from the only protector she had ever known. Her small body shook with fear and loneliness. She had lost her father figure, the human, who gave her food, warmth, and love. For hours she whimpered softly, not knowing if she would live or die. Then a shadow appeared in the distance. A massive ship loomed over the pod, dark metal shining under starlight. The cub's eyes widened. Her pod shook as a tractor beam pulled it into the ship's hangar. The doors opened with a hiss. Strange figures surrounded her, armored guards with glowing helmets. They pulled the pod open and looked inside. "It's a child," one muttered. "An alien cub." The guards brought her before their leader, a tall, regal woman in golden armor. Her crown glowed with embedded jewels. Her presence filled the hall. She was High Empress Silora, ruler of the Starborn Empire. Silora's sharp eyes studied the cub. "Whose child are you?" she asked. The cub only whimpered, clutching the human badge tightly. The Empress noticed it and frowned. "A human symbol," she whispered. Normally, alien strays were cast out or used as slaves, but something about the cub's trembling hands and glowing eyes made Silora pause. She waved her hand. "Take her to the royal chambers. Feed her. Keep her safe." And so, the cub found herself in the palace of the most powerful empire. She was given food, clothes, and care, yet she never let go of Aaron's badge. Each night she stared at it, remembering his words. "This means courage." Years passed, and the cub grew. No longer small and weak, she became strong. Her fur shone silver under palace lights. Her voice carried authority. Her mind was sharper than blades. She remembered Aaron's teachings. Every lesson about shapes, courage, and kindness stayed in her heart. When other children mocked her, she stood tall. When enemies tested her, she fought with fierce will. She was different from the others, alien in blood but human in spirit. Silora noticed her growth. The Empress saw not just a child, but a leader. She gave her tutors, scholars, and warriors. They taught her politics, history, and the art of war. The cub absorbed it all like fire. The court whispered, "This girl, she is not of our blood. Why does the Empress keep her?" Some feared her glowing eyes. Others feared her sharp mind, but none could deny her presence grew stronger with each passing year. By the time she reached adulthood, she was no longer called Cub. She was called Luma, the name Aaron had once whispered in the bunker. She carried it proudly. One day Silora called her to the throne room. "You are not of my blood," the Empress said, her voice steady. "But you carry something greater, strength, courage, and vision. When my time ends, you will not just inherit my throne, you will forge a new future." The council gasped in outrage. "An outsider? A half-breed raised by humans? She cannot rule us." But Silora silenced them with a single glare. "She will, because she is the only one who dares to change what we have become." From that day forward, Luma trained harder than ever. She led soldiers into battles, outsmarted rivals, and crushed rebellions. Her name spread like wildfire, Luma the Fearless, Luma the Light. Yet inside her heart, she never forgot the human who had saved her life. In her private chamber, she kept the metal badge, polishing it every night. She whispered softly to it, as if speaking to Aaron, "I will make you proud, Father. I promise." Years rolled by. The Empress grew old. At last the day came when Silora passed the crown. The ceremony filled the skies with fireworks. Fleets surrounded the capital. The galaxy watched. Luma walked down the golden steps, her cloak flowing behind her. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. She knelt before the throne. Silora placed the crown upon her head. "Rise," the Empress declared. "Rise as the new ruler of the 1,000 worlds." The people roared. Millions shouted her name. Armies pounded their weapons in salute. Luma stood tall, her voice rang through the halls. From this day forth, I am your Empress. But in her heart, she whispered a different vow. One only, she could hear. Aaron, wherever you are, I will find you, I will bring you back. That night, as she stood on the balcony of the palace, fleets stretching into the horizon, stars burning in the distance, she clenched Aaron's badge in her hand. She had risen from an abandoned cub to an empress of 1,000 worlds. But her journey was not finished. For her story had always begun with a human, and it would not end without him. Return as Empress. 20 years had passed since the night Aaron launched the escape pod into the stars. 20 years since the cub cried out, reaching for him through the glass. Now, she was no longer a cub. She was Empress Luma, ruler of 1,000 worlds. Her crown blazed with jewels. Her fleet stretched across galaxies. Her name carried fear and respect wherever it was spoken. Yet in her heart, she still carried Aaron's voice. This means courage. You are never alone. Every decision, every battle, every throne she claimed was guided by that memory. On the day of her coronation anniversary, her generals gathered in the grand war hall, their voices echoed against the tall golden walls. Empress, we await your command. Who shall we conquer next? But Luma did not speak of conquest. Instead, her glowing eyes narrowed. I have a different mission, she said. Find the human soldier who once saved me. The generals shifted uneasily. One finally spoke. A human? They are weak, scattered, lost in their own wars. Why waste time on them? Luma's voice cut through like a blade. He is not weak. He gave me life when your kind would have left me to die. He is more than a soldier. He is the reason I am. Standing here today, the council fell silent. No one dared challenge her will. She leaned forward, her voice quiet but sharp. Search every system, every prison, every shadow. Bring him to me. The Empire obeyed. Fleets scattered across the stars. Archives were opened. Secrets were dug out. At last, whispers returned. Rumors of a human prisoner, forgotten, locked away on a desolate world known as Blackstone. Luma's heart pounded when she heard the name. Prepare my fleet, she ordered. Her voice shook the chamber. I will see him with my own eyes. The journey to Blackstone was long. The world was a graveyard of stone, wrapped in storms and iron prisons. No sunlight reached its surface. Only the cries of the forgotten echoed. In its cells, as her flagship descended, the guards trembled. No empress had ever set foot on Blackstone. They bowed low, fearful. Luma ignored them. Her steps were firm as she entered the prison gates. Inside the dark halls, the stench of rust and decay filled the air. Chains rattled as prisoners lifted their hollow eyes, wondering if this was a dream. An empress among them, at the deepest cell, the warden stopped. This one? He asked. His tone carried both confusion and fear. He has been here for decades, barely alive, a traitor to his people. Open it, Luma commanded. Her voice allowed no argument. The door groaned open. Inside lay a man, old, thin, his beard long and tangled, his body scarred from years of suffering. He looked up slowly. His eyes, though weak, still carried fire. Luma's breath caught. Her heart trembled. It was him, Aaron, the human who once saved her, the man who gave her courage. She stepped forward, her cloak brushing the ground. Her soldiers watched in silence as the Empress of 1,000 worlds knelt on the filthy floor. Aaron, she whispered. Her voice broke. For the first time in years, tears burned in her eyes. The old soldier blinked. His cracked lips parted. His voice came as a whisper. Luma? Yes, she said. It's me, I came back for you. The prisoners around them gasped. The guards stood frozen. They had never seen their empress bow before anyone. Luma reached out her hand. Aaron's trembling fingers touched hers. You survived, he whispered, his voice weak. I thought, they killed you. You saved me, she said firmly. And because of you, I became empress. I command fleets, armies, worlds. But none of it means anything without you. She turned, sharply to her guards, her voice thundering, "Release him now!" Chains fell to the ground. The soldiers lifted Aaron gently, his body frail but his spirit still alive. Luma supported him, helping him walk. For every step he took, the prisoners cheered softly. Their voices grew, rising like a storm. The legend was born, an empress kneeling to a broken human. But beyond Blackstone, the galaxy trembled. Rival empires saw her act and whispered in fear. The empress bows to a human. Does she serve them now? Others hissed, "She is weak. Sentiment will destroy her." Armies gathered, alliances formed. A storm of war brewed in the shadows, yet Luma did not waver. As her fleet rose from Blackstone carrying Aaron by her side, she looked out into the Tio. Stars, her voice steady. "Let them fear. Let them whisper. I will show them what true strength means." And for the first time in 2 decades, the human soldier smiled faintly, leaning on her shoulder. "Just like I told you," he whispered. "You are stronger than me." But in the depths of the galaxy, enemies sharpened their blades, waiting to test if the Empress of 1,000 worlds was truly unbreakable. The rescue. The galaxy shook with whispers, the image of the Empress kneeling before a broken human spread faster than light. Some called it weakness, some called it madness. But to many, it was the most powerful act they had ever seen. Rival empires, however, saw only opportunity. "She bends to a human," they hissed. "She has lost her strength, now is the time to strike." Across the stars, fleets gathered, weapons charged, enemies waiting for the perfect moment. But Luma cared for none of that. Her focus was only on Aaron. He lay in her private chamber aboard the flagship, his body frail, his breath shallow, yet his eyes still burned with life. "You should rest," she said softly, sitting beside him. He gave a faint smile. "Rest. After 20 years in a cage, all I want is to see the stars again." He coughed weakly. "And to see what you've become." "You will," she promised, her hand closed around his. "I will not let anyone hurt you again." Her generals, however, were restless in the war hall, they argued. "Empress, this human makes you vulnerable. The other empires prepare for war. We must strike first." Luma's eyes narrowed. "No," she said firmly. "If they want war, they will come. To us. But I will not use fear. I will not be a tyrant. Not while he watches me." The generals exchanged uneasy glances. They did not understand, but they obeyed. Soon their fear became reality. A coalition of rival empires attacked. Their fleets poured into Luma's borders like a tidal wave. Entire star systems burned, civilians cried out for protection. The council begged, "Empress, lead us to war." But before she answered, news reached her. Aaron was still a prisoner in truth. The rival coalition had intercepted transmissions and declared, "If you wish for him to live, surrender your throne." It was a trap. They wanted to break her spirit by taking the very man who made her strong. Luma's eyes blazed with fury. She rose from her throne. "No one will cage him again," she thundered. "Prepare the fleet. We march to war, not for conquest, but for rescue." The order shook the empire. For the first time, a war was not declared for territory or wealth, but for one life, one human life. Her armada launched into the void. Thousands of ships streaked across the stars, their engines glowing like suns. At the heart of the fleet, her flagship cut through the darkness like a spear. The rival coalition gathered near a dead star. Their ships filled the horizon, waiting. At the center of their formation was a prison barge. Inside it, Aaron was chained once more. He sat in the darkness, weak but defiant. He whispered to himself, "She's coming. I know she's coming." His hand clutched the metal badge, still, around his neck after all these years. And then the void erupted. Luma's fleet arrived. Her voice echoed through every channel. "Release him or face destruction." The enemy commander laughed. "You risk your empire for a broken human? Then both of you will die." He gave the order. "Attack!" The battle exploded. Lasers lit up the void. Ships tore into each other. The galaxy shook with fire and thunder. Luma stood on the command deck, her eyes blazing. Focus all fire. On the prison barge, protected at all costs. Her ships formed a shield, cutting a path through the chaos. Enemy cruisers fell one by one, yet the prison barge remained locked behind enemy lines. "Bring me closer," she ordered. Her flagship surged forward. Engines screamed, hulls shattered. At last, she was within reach. She did not wait. She grabbed her blade, donned her armor, and boarded the assault craft. Her guards followed, but her voice was sharp. "No, I go first. This fight is mine." They landed on the prison barge with thunder. Doors blasted open. Soldiers poured out to stop her. But Luma moved like fire. Her blade cut through steel. Her eyes blazed like suns. Every step forward brought her closer to Aaron. Inside his cell, he heard the battle above. His heart leapt. "She's here," he whispered. For the first time in decades, hope filled his chest. The cell doors burst apart, and there she stood, Empress of 1,000 worlds, cloak torn, armor shining, her blade dripping with fire. Aaron's breath caught. "Luma!" She dropped her sword and ran to him, her arms wrapped around him. "I told you," she whispered fiercely. "No walls, no chains, no army will keep me from you." The guards fell silent, stunned. The sight before them was more powerful than any weapon, an empress embracing a broken man as if he was her entire world. "Let's go home," she said, lifting him gently. They fought their way back, ships burned, fleets shattered, but Luma's will was unbreakable. She carried Aaron. Aboard her flagship, her voice thundered across the comms, "Retreat now or be destroyed." The coalition faltered. Their soldiers had seen something they could not understand. An empress who would risk everything for love, loyalty, and humanity. Their fleets broke, scattering into the void. When silence returned, Luma sat beside Aaron once more. He leaned against her, weak but alive, his voice soft. "You risked everything. For me." She smiled faintly, her glowing eyes filled with warmth. "You once risked everything for me. Now it is my turn." And as the flagship drifted through the stars, the galaxy whispered, "The Empress is unbreakable, for she fights not for thrones or crowns, but for the heart of a human." The final choice. The war was over, but the galaxy was not silent. Whispers spread across 1,000 worlds. The Empress of Light had defied every empire, shattered every chain, and rescued a single human soldier. To some, it was a story of hope. To others, it was a warning. Rivals sharpened their blades in secret, plotting rebellion, for they feared an empress who bowed not to gold or power, but to love and loyalty. Inside the grand palace, Aaron walked slowly through shining halls. His body was weak, but each day he grew stronger. He often stopped to gaze out at the stars, his hand resting on the badge that had once been Luma's only treasure. Luma stood beside him, taller, stronger, but her eyes softened when they looked at him. She asked quietly, "Do you regret saving me that night, all those years ago?" Aaron shook his head. His voice was steady, though his body trembled. "No, little light, never. If I had walked away, the galaxy would have lost its greatest empress." She smiled, but there was no peace in her heart, for though she had rescued him, the galaxy still trembled. Fleets gathered in secret. Leaders plotted in shadows. They whispered, "She has grown weak. Her human makes her soft. Strike now, before she unites us all." One night, the council gathered in the throne hall. Their voices rose like fire. "Empress, you must choose. Will you rule with iron, crush rebellion, and keep the galaxy in fear? Or will you follow this human's way of kindness and risk losing everything?" The words cut deep. All eyes turned to her. Her empire waited for her answer. Even Aaron, standing in the shadows, watched her with steady eyes. "For hours," she said. "Nothing." She walked to the balcony and looked at the endless stars. Her voice echoed softly. "Fear can control, but it cannot heal. Kindness can heal, but it may cost everything. What is true strength?" Aaron stepped forward, his old voice carried across the hall. "True strength is not in chains or crowns. It is in the courage to choose mercy when hate demands blood." The hall fell silent. Luma's glowing eyes filled with fire. She turned, back to her people. "Then I choose," she said. Her voice shook the walls. "I choose unity. I choose mercy. I choose the path he taught me. If that brings war, so be it. Let them come. They will see that compassion is not weakness. It is power." The council was divided. Some bowed, some turned away in anger, yet none could deny her strength. Days later, fleets of rebellion appeared at the edge of her empire. Thousands of ships filled the void. Their leaders declared, "Step down, Empress, or be destroyed." The empire held its breath. Millions watched. The final choice stood before her. On the command deck of her flagship, Aaron stood beside her. He was weak, but his eyes were steady. "What will you do, Luma?" he asked. She took his hand in front of the entire fleet. Her glowing eyes burned bright. "I will not step down," she said, "but neither will I conquer. I will fight if I must. Yet I will build a future where no cub, no child, human or alien, is abandoned. That is my vow." Her voice thundered across the stars, reaching enemies and allies alike. Many soldiers on the enemy side hesitated. Their hearts stirred. For the first time, they saw not a tyrant, but a leader who spoke for something greater than power. The battle began. Yet it was unlike any battle before. For each enemy ship that fell, others surrendered instead, drawn by her vision, drawn by her courage. In the chaos, Aaron stood steady, guiding her with quiet words, reminding her of humanity's resilience, reminding her of the night that started it all. By dawn of the new cycle, the rebellion broke, not with destruction but with surrender. Fleets knelt before her banner, leaders bowed, their voices shook. "We do not follow out of fear. We follow because you are true." Luma stood tall. Her crown gleamed. Her hand still held Aaron's. She had made her choice, and the galaxy had followed. That night, under the endless stars, she walked with Aaron through the gardens of the palace. He looked at her and whispered, "You've done it, little light. You've changed everything." She leaned close, her voice soft but strong. "No, Aaron, we've done it. You gave me life. You gave me courage. Without you, I would have been nothing." He smiled faintly, his body weak, but his heart full. "Then promise me one thing." "What?" she asked gently. "Promise me the next child abandoned in war will not grow alone. Promise me you will be their shield as I was yours." Her glowing eyes filled with tears. She held his hand tight. "I promise." Above them the stars burned, brighter than ever. The galaxy was still filled with danger, but for the first time in ages, hope was stronger, and as the night wind whispered across the palace, the Empress of 1,000 worlds spoke the words that would echo for centuries. "This is only the beginning.